When a prospect says, "Can you drop the price?" most salespeople fold. They shave off 10%, 15%, and lose their commission. What top salespeople do is they say, "I might be able to do something on the price, but I'd have to change the scope of the project to make it work. Which of these three features are you willing to give up to hit that lower number?" Now that does two things. It proves your price was fair to begin with, and it makes them realize that they actually want the full solution. If you give discounts for nothing, you're telling them that your original price was a lie. If you trade, you protect your value. If you can't answer these three questions, you have no right to ask for the sale. First is, why does this matter to them? Not your goals, not your commission, for them. If you can't define the meaning, you are simply guessing. Second is, what are the consequences of doing nothing? Buyers only move when the cost of staying the same becomes more expensive than the cost of change. And then the third is, why now? Time kills more deals than price ever will. If you want to win in sales, it starts with being in order with yourself. If you speak without conviction, people are going to feel it. If you doubt your value, buyers are going to sense it. Closing starts as an inside job. One promise kept to yourself repeatedly turns into your identity. Your identity turns into certainty, and then certainty turns into influence. One of the most subtle ways to kill a sale is by answering questions that nobody even asked. A buyer might ask you about one detail, and a salesperson unloads with 5 more explanations in an attempt to be helpful. But what he really does in that moment is create doubt. Every extra explanation becomes a new reason to pause and hesitate. Professionals answer the question directly and then stop talking. If they need more information, they're going to ask. If not, let the silence do its work. If somebody tells you it's too expensive, don't argue, just agree with them. It sounds crazy, but most salespeople panic and start defending. We're actually really competitive. Let me explain. No, you're literally arguing with their feelings. What top salespeople do is they say, "Okay, I completely get it. It's a significant investment." And then they drop this. When you say it's too expensive, help me understand. Does it mean that it's not worth it, or you don't have the budget right now? Now watch the magic happen. The truth comes out. If it's budget, you say, "Okay, so you see the value, but cash is tight right now. What would need to happen to make this work for you?" If it's value, you say, "Okay, got it. Well, what would need to change to make this feel worth it?" Stop sending your prospects more information. You're just giving them more excuses to say no. We think that if we provide enough proof, enough case studies, enough data, the prospect will finally turn around and say yes. But more information usually leads to more hesitation, because people don't even buy data. They buy certainty. They're looking at you to see if you believe what you're saying, your tone, your pacing, and your willingness to say no. That carries way more weight than your long email or your slide deck. A short, confident answer will beat a long, nervous explanation every single time. You have exactly 7 seconds before a prospect decides if you're an expert or not. And most people waste those first seconds with, "How are you doing today?" or "I really appreciate you taking the time." It's polite, but it signals that you don't have anything better to do. And an expert doesn't ask for permission. They provide immediate relevance. Within those first 7 seconds, your prospect needs to feel like you understand their world better than they do. And if you sound like a standard salesperson, then don't be surprised when they treat you like a standard salesperson. Stop trying to convince people to buy from you. The moment you start convincing, you've already lost. High-level sales isn't even about that. It's a disqualification process. Most salespeople spend their whole day trying to chase prospects, just checking in. They're practically begging. But when you're willing to look a prospect dead in the eyes and say, "Look, I'm not even sure if this is a good fit for you," something shifts. The tension disappears. Their guard drops. And now they're the ones trying to prove to you why they're a good candidate. If you want to scale, you have to stop acting like you're desperate for the sale and start acting like a doctor who only prescribes when they're certain of the cure. When a prospect says it's too expensive, they're lying. What they're actually saying to you is, "I don't believe this will be worth it for me." And most salespeople try to solve this with more information or more testimonials. But if you offer that prospect a brand new Rolls Royce for $10,000, even if they didn't have $10,000, they'd find a way to get it. Why? Because they see the value in that transaction. So what that tells you is, once they believe that it's worth it for them, the price becomes irrelevant. Never say, I think this will work. Say, this solves your exact problem. A lot of salespeople plant their own doubts into the buyer's head with the language that they use. They say, I think, maybe, this should, and the buyer hears uncertainty. Professionals strip weak language out of their vocabulary. Instead of saying, this might help you save time, they'll say, this cuts your process down from 3 hours down to 30 minutes. Then you watch the difference. People ruin sales before the sale even begins. How? By going informal too early. Small talk isn't about friendship. It's about status and rapport. If you start with, hey brother, hope you had an amazing weekend, they're gonna see you as a friendly amateur. And the medium doesn't even matter. WhatsApp, email, phone call, in person. Formal always comes before informal. Structure comes before comfort. Sales isn't about being liked. It's about being respected first and then liked. And if you get this wrong, you're gonna lose deals without even knowing why. If a client says, I need to think about it, don't say, okay, no problem, take your time. That's what most salespeople do. They see the objection as a sign of rejection. Instead, agree with them. Of course you need to think about it. Which part specifically? And the attitude you have in facing this objection, if you go in with curiosity, you're going to have a much higher success rate than if you just give up at the first sign of resistance. The way that you handle the first objection determines the outcome of the sale. The most expensive mistake that you're making in sales is opening your mouth too much. We're taught that closing is all about the pitch. It's not. It's about the silence that comes right after the pitch. You see, weak salespeople panic. They see a pause and they see failure. So they fill it with more features, more justification, and more noise. But silence is where the truth lives. It's where your prospect can actually process the decision. If you can't hold the silence, you can't hold the frame. And if you can't hold the frame, you're never going to be able to collect the check. So the next time you ask a hard question, shut up and let them feel the weight of the decision. And remember that the first person to talk usually loses.
Why is it that the smartest buyers never argue about the price?
Because they know something that most people don't. How you buy is how you sell. Think about it. The people who haggle, nitpick, and fight on the price are usually the same people who complain that their clients do it to them. Most buyers think that they're being smart by pushing for the lower price. But what they don't realize is that they're training themselves to attract those exact same type of buyers that they're on the other side of the table with. That's the mirror principle. If you're cheap when you buy, you'll attract cheap clients when you sell. If you argue over price, guess what? Your clients are going to argue with you. Smart buyers focus on value, not just cost. They know that the right investment saves them time, makes them money, or brings them closer to something that they can't get somewhere else.
What words make you sound weak in sales?
Don't say, I don't know. Say, I'll find out. Don't say, I'll try. Say, I'll take care of it. Don't say, I think so. Say, I'll confirm that for you. Confidence is key in sales, and using the right words can make all the difference in making you seem way more competent and confident.
What's the thought almost every customer has before they buy?
They think, I hope this is going to be worth it. Most salespeople ignore this silent objection. They get excited, push harder, and assume the sale is done. But deep down, the customer is still running risk calculations in their head. They oversell benefits, they keep stacking promises, but the more you hype, the more the customer starts to worry. What if this person doesn't deliver? Top salespeople reduce the risk. They don't just sell the upside, they remove the fear of the downside. For example, they say something like, listen, I don't want you to feel like you're gambling here. Here's how I'll make sure that you get the result. And then walk them through the proof, guarantees, case studies, or a clear process that makes the buyer feel safe.
What's the biggest mistake when it comes to handling objections in sales?
Most salespeople let the objections come up and then scramble to handle them. Price, timing, budget, trust. But by then, it's already too late. What top sales professionals do is pre-frame the objection before it even comes up. So for example, they say something like, at this stage, most people are wondering how expensive this is going to be. Let me show you why the people who moved forward say that it was the best investment they ever made.
How can you be the most professional salesperson?
Build trust like a friend, ask questions like a detective, use tonality like a voice actor, understand motivation like a psychologist, and guide the conversation like a counselor.
How do you hire really good salespeople?
You should hire for personality and character rather than skills. I truly believe that anyone can acquire the skills, but if you get someone who's hardworking, loyal, and most importantly committed to excellence, the skills can actually be picked up along the way, but the personality and character stay.
What do you do when a client says, I need to talk to my wife?
First, show empathy. Say, of course, I'd want to talk to my partner too. And then reframe. So just so when we speak, it's productive, what's one thing that they might want clarity on? And then say, perfect, why don't we do this? You chat with her tonight, and then let's reconnect tomorrow at 3 p.m. so we can answer any questions you guys have together. Because here's the truth. If you let them go without any clear commitment, you lose control. Ambiguity kills deals. But if you guide them on the process and set the next steps in stone, you keep momentum.
What's the thought almost every customer has before they buy?
They think, I hope this is going to be worth it. Most salespeople ignore this silent objection. They get excited, push harder, and assume the sale is done. But deep down, the customer is still running risk calculations in their head. They oversell benefits, they keep stacking promises, but the more you hype, the more the customer starts to worry. What if this person doesn't deliver? Top salespeople reduce the risk. They don't just sell the upside, they remove the fear of the downside. For example, they say something like, listen, I don't want you to feel like you're gambling here. Here's how I'll make sure that you get the result. And then walk them through the proof, guarantees, case studies, or a clear process that makes the buyer feel safe.
Why is storytelling so important in sales?
People don't buy products, they buy stories. When you tell a story, you're not just sharing information, you're creating an emotional connection. It's the difference between saying, this software saves time, and saying, one of our clients was able to finish work 2 hours earlier every day and finally made it to his kids' football games. Stories make your products relatable and memorable. They're what people remember long after the conversation is over.
How do you handle a customer when they say, I'm just looking?
Sometimes they just want you to leave them alone when they say that. And a lot of salespeople immediately go into, okay, I'm just going to be over here if you need anything. Or sometimes it's the opposite, like the salesperson will just hover awkwardly around you, and it's the most uncomfortable feeling ever. You can literally feel their thirst. Do not do that. Say something like, is there anything particular that you were looking for? Maybe I can save you some time by pointing you in the right direction. This approach shows that you're just trying to help them without being pushy, making the customer feel more at ease.
What's the thought almost every customer has before they buy?
They think, I hope this is going to be worth it. Most salespeople ignore this silent objection. They get excited, push harder, and assume the sale is done. But deep down, the customer is still running risk calculations in their head. They oversell benefits, they keep stacking promises, but the more you hype, the more the customer starts to worry. What if this person doesn't deliver? Top salespeople reduce the risk. They don't just sell the upside, they remove the fear of the downside. For example, they say something like, listen, I don't want you to feel like you're gambling here. Here's how I'll make sure that you get the result. And then walk them through the proof, guarantees, case studies, or a clear process that makes the buyer feel safe.
What do you do when a customer says, I just want to know the price?
Don't answer them. It sounds crazy, right? Most salespeople just throw out a number and hope that it lands. But here's the problem. If they don't see the value, any number you give them is going to sound expensive. So here's what top salespeople do instead. They say something like, sure, I'll tell you the exact price, but first, let me ask you something. What's most important to you here? Because when someone asks you for the price up front, it's not actually about the price, it's about certainty. They want to know that it's going to be worth their time, their energy, and their trust. So don't just throw out a number. Find out which one of these things they really mean, because once you uncover that, the price takes care of itself.
How do you succeed in sales without being salesy?
The best salespeople don't actually feel like salespeople at all. They make you feel comfortable, they listen, and they understand your needs before they even try to pitch you anything. It's not about pushing a product, it's about guiding a conversation. And when you're authentic and genuinely interested in solving a customer's problems, you don't need to be salesy, you just need to be helpful. And when people feel like they're being helped rather than being sold to, they're way more likely to buy.
What do you do if a customer says, I'm just looking?
When a customer says that, they probably just want you to leave them alone. The salesperson's knee-jerk reaction is usually to say, okay, I'll just be over here if you need anything. Or even worse, hover awkwardly around the customer while they browse the store. Don't do that. A better way is to say, is there anything specific that you were looking for today? I might be able to save you some time by pointing you in the right direction. That shows that you care about assisting the customer without being pushy, making them feel at ease and like you're there to help, which you actually are.
How do you talk about the price when you're selling something?
When you tell someone the price of your product or service, say it clearly and then shut up. After you tell them the price, give them a moment to think. If you keep talking, you might make them unsure or confused. So just say the price and be quiet. Let them decide without any extra pressure. And it could get awkward, but whatever you do, do not break the silence first. Let them speak first and then go from there.
What do you do when they tell you it's too expensive?
Just agree with them. It sounds crazy, right? But most salespeople panic and start defending. We're actually really competitive. Let me explain. No, you're literally arguing with their feelings. Here's what top salespeople do instead. Completely get it. It's a significant investment. Then you ask them, when you say it's too expensive, help me understand. Do you mean it's not worth it, or you just don't have the budget right now? Now watch the magic happen. The truth comes out. If it's budget, you say, so you see the value, but cash is tight right now. What would need to happen to make this worth it for you? If it's value, you say, got it. Well, what would need to change to make this feel worth it to you?
What's the most important part of sales? Is it closing a deal?
No, it's trust. Think about it. No matter how good your product is or how perfect your pitch sounds, if the prospect doesn't trust you, it's game over. Building trust is where sales are won and lost. So how do you build trust in the first place? It's not complicated. Be authentic, listen to their needs, and don't overpromise. People can smell desperation, but they gravitate towards confidence. When your prospect trusts you, closing the deal becomes the easy part.
What do you do if a customer is really rude to you?
When a customer is rude to you, the best approach is to stay calm and composed. Remember, their behavior is often just a reflection of their own frustrations or stress, not a personal attack on you. Respond with empathy by saying something like, I completely understand that you're upset, and I want to help resolve this for you. This can often turn a negative situation around, but if the customer is being really rude for no reason or completely unreasonable, it's perfectly fine to refuse to do business with them and just move on. Not every customer is worth the stress, and sometimes it's better to protect your own peace by walking away.
What do you do when a client says, I can get it cheaper somewhere else?
The worst move you can make is to start arguing or discounting. They already know there's always a cheaper option. If you make it all about the price, you've already lost. And the client thinks if they drop the price that fast, it might not be worth it. Top salespeople don't do that. They reframe it. If you buy a cheap suit, it looks good on day one, but then it falls apart, and you end up buying a better suit anyway, except now you've paid double bubble. When you buy cheap, you usually buy twice. Price isn't the issue, risk is. Clients go cheap because they think all options are equal. Your job is to show them what cutting corners actually costs.
What's the best time of day to make sales calls?
You can't call people between 12 and 2 because they're at lunch. And you can't call them between 4 and 6 because they're getting ready to go home. And you can never call them on Monday mornings because Monday mornings are super busy. There's a lot of opinions about this, but listen, the best time to call is when you can. And then if it's a bad time, just ask them, when would it be a good time? Schedule it together and then call them back then.
What's the secret behind sell me this pencil?
When someone says, sell me this pencil, the wrong move is to start jamming this pencil down their throat. Nobody wants that. This pencil is so aesthetic. It's so awesome. Don't do that. Instead of pushing the pencil or any other product, ask yourself, do they even need it? Successful salespeople and businesses don't just sell products. They find and solve problems.
What do you do when a client says, let me get back to you?
Most salespeople think that's a polite way of saying maybe, but in reality, it's almost always a no. They just don't want to say it to your face. And most people respond with, sure, take your time. And then they sit by the phone hoping. But hope isn't a strategy. Top salespeople say, I get it, you want to think about it. But just so I don't follow up endlessly, when you say that, do you mean you're genuinely interested but need time? Or you've already decided it's not for you? That question forces clarity. If they're serious, they'll open up about what's really holding them back. And if they're not, you save yourself weeks of chasing.
What if they say, I want to think about it?
When someone tells you, I want to think about it, they don't actually mean they're going to get off the phone, go into a thinker position for 2 hours, and actively think about your offer. 9 times out of 10, they're never going to think about you again after that call. And that's because they usually say that just to brush you off and avoid making a decision. So when you hear, I want to think about it, you need to understand there's something else hiding behind that objection. There's a reason why they don't want to move forward or don't want to make a decision in that moment. And you need to find the real reason for that and help them overcome whatever is concerning them.
What should you never say to a client?
If you walk into a meeting and a client asks you, how are you doing? There's only one right answer. You should never say something like, I'm having a really bad day, I lost my cat, I'm really worried about her. Do not do that. The client might react with sympathy, but it's not the right thing to do. You've been hired to solve a problem for the client. The only right answer is, good, thanks, how are you? Always good.
Why do some salespeople sound more trustworthy than others?
It's not what they say, it's how they sound. Even one or can kill your authority. Most people think it's all about the words, but you can say the perfect words, and if you don't sound confident, the buyer isn't going to believe you. Imagine a client asks you, is this product any good? And you say, yeah. The words are correct, but the delivery screams uncertainty, and people don't buy from doubt. And here's what top salespeople do instead. They pause instead of filling space. They slow down on their delivery, and they let their words land with clarity and certainty.
How do you turn no into a yes in 30 seconds?
It's all about reframing the conversation. When you hear no, instead of pushing back, ask them a question that gets to the root of their objection. For example, I understand that you're not interested right now, but what would it take to make this a yes for you? This approach shows that you're not just trying to make a sale, but you're interested in meeting their needs. Often, this simple shift in approach can change their perspective and turn no into a yes.
What do you mean people communicate before they speak?
Before you've even opened your mouth, you've said like 10 different things. How you dress, your body language, your facial expressions, your vibrational energy. You're communicating with people all the time. So if you want to give yourself the best chance at success, learn to get good at all forms of communication, verbal and non-verbal. If you walk into a meeting dressed sharply with a confident posture and a friendly smile, you're likely to be perceived as professional and approachable. On the other hand, if you slouch, avoid eye contact, or seem disinterested, you might be seen as unprepared or unengaged.
Why does trying to impress your customer actually end up backfiring?
Because the harder you try to impress them, the more you put yourself in the weaker frame. And in sales, frame is everything. Top salespeople flip it. They stop performing and start leading. Instead of trying to impress, they focus on understanding the customer. Let me ask you, what matters most to you in this decision? When you try to impress, you chase validation. When you focus on them, you create authority. The buyer feels that you're on their side and not auditioning for their approval.
How do you handle a customer when they say, I'm just looking?
Sometimes they just want you to leave them alone when they say that. And a lot of salespeople immediately go into, okay, I'm just going to be over here if you need anything. Or sometimes it's the opposite, like the salesperson will just hover awkwardly around you, and it's the most uncomfortable feeling ever. You can literally feel their thirst. Do not do that. Say something like, is there anything particular that you were looking for? Maybe I can save you some time by pointing you in the right direction. This approach shows that you're just trying to help them without being pushy, making the customer feel more at ease.
What's the most important part of selling? Is it closing the deal or making your pitch?
No, it's listening. Understanding your customer's needs and concerns is the key to success in sales. And a good way to listen effectively is that when you're listening, just listen. Don't think about what you're going to say next or what might impress them. Just hear what they're saying totally and completely, the tone in which they're saying it in, and the feelings behind the words. Just listen and then put yourself in their shoes and really try to understand them.
What do you do when they say, I can get it cheaper somewhere else?
Don't rush to drop your price. That's the worst mistake that you can make. Most salespeople panic and start discounting. But here's the truth. The customer already knows that they can get it for cheaper. If you make it about the price, you've already lost. What top salespeople do is they say, I get it. There's always a cheaper option. But let me ask you, are you just looking for the lowest price or the best result? That one question changes everything, because if they're only chasing the lowest price, you know that they're not your client. But if they want the best result, you've just positioned yourself as an authority.
What are customers really saying when they say, I'm not interested?
They're saying, you haven't given me a reason to be. It's not about your product, it's about your approach. Most sales reps hear, I'm not interested, and they give up immediately. But here's the truth that they're missing. People are interested when they understand how it helps them. Think about it. When was the last time you said, I'm not interested, about something you actually saw value in? Exactly. Never. So not interested is actually code for, I don't get it, or I don't see how this helps me, or you sound like every other salesperson. So here's what top salespeople do differently. They don't push back. They get curious. What would make this more relevant for you? Or what are you interested in right now?
How do you succeed in sales without being salesy?
The best salespeople don't actually feel like salespeople at all. They make you feel comfortable, they listen twice as much as they talk, and they understand your exact problem before they even mention their solution. It's not about pushing a product, it's about guiding a conversation. And here's the thing, when you're authentic and genuinely focused on solving the customer's actual problem, you don't need tactics or pressure. You just need to be helpful. Because when people feel like they're being helped rather than being sold to, they naturally want to work with you anyway.
How come the best salespeople couldn't care less about rejection?
Because they know that rejection isn't personal. It's just a part of the job. Average salespeople hear no and spiral into, did I mess up? Am I even good at this? But the top salespeople hear no and think, cool, that one didn't land, on to the next one. They treat rejection like data, like fuel. If you're not getting rejected, by the way, you're not having enough conversations. And every single no brings you closer to a yes.
Why do objections actually mean they're more likely to buy?
Objections scare most salespeople. It's too expensive. I need to think about it. I'm not sure this is right for us. They think it means the deal is dying. But objections are buying signals in disguise. If they truly weren't interested, they just say no and disappear. But when they object, what they're really saying is, I'm interested, but I have some concerns. That's engaging. They're giving you a path to the sale. No objections, that can actually be worse. That's when they're being polite, but completely checked out.
How come the best salespeople never talk about their product?
Because people don't buy products. They buy outcomes. Top salespeople skip the specs completely. They sell results instead. They talk about what life looks like after the purchase. They don't pitch features, they paint the life you want. When someone wants to leave work by 6 for family dinner, they show exactly how that becomes possible because they ask the person what matters most. Features tell you what it does, but stories sell what it gives to you. So don't pitch products, start selling futures.
Why does just checking in get you ghosted?
Because you're boring. Every prospect gets 10 of those a week. Hey, just checking in to see if you had a chance to think about it. What it means is, I have nothing new to offer, but I'm hoping you're gonna buy anyway. It screams laziness. Think about it. You're busy dealing with real-world problems, and someone hits your phone just to check in. That adds zero value to their lives. Elite salespeople don't check in. They bring something useful.
Who should you tell about your goals?
Don't tell your girl. Don't tell your friends. Don't even tell your parents. And for the love of God, don't post them online. Because if you tell your mom, I'm gonna build a big business and retire you, she tears up, hugs you, tells you that she's proud of you, and boom, you just got the high that you were chasing. Your brain thinks, mission complete. You feel like a hero before you've even done a thing. Now, why suffer through the work when you already got the reward? That's the trap, and a lot of people fall for it. And if you're in business or sales, this is how you lose momentum. You start celebrating intent instead of tracking outcomes. You get busy telling the story of your plans instead of actually doing them. Top performers don't talk, they just do it.
What makes buyers trust you before you even say a word?
Your energy. Within the first 7 seconds, prospects decide if they trust you without you even saying a single word. They instantly pick up on your confidence, intentions, and authenticity. Top salespeople walk into meetings calm, curious, and completely unattached to outcomes. They're not there to chase commission checks. They're there genuinely interested in solving problems. Your handshake, posture, eye contact, even the way you enter the room, that is your real pitch. People buy feelings first and facts second.
What's the real secret behind sell me this pen?
The real secret is, it's not about the pen at all. Most people fail this test the second they start talking. They start talking about the pen. It's so sleek. It writes in black ink. It feels great in your hand, but nobody cares. The question isn't about features. It's about, can you find and solve a problem? That's it. So what top salespeople do is, they ask a simple question. Do you ever use a pen in your day-to-day life? If they say no, cool, move on. But if they say yes, you've got an opening. You ask, okay, why? What kind of stuff do you use it for? What's annoying about the ones you've used before? Now, you're not selling a pen. You're solving a problem.
Why does making prospects feel uncomfortable? actually close more deals?
Most salespeople think their job is to keep the prospect comfortable, but comfort doesn't lead to change. The best salespeople, they challenge you, not to be rude, but to be real. When a prospect says, I'll think about it, which usually means I'll forget about it, average salespeople smile and say, no worries. But the best salespeople feel that signal in their gut that's telling them, you're letting that guy off the hook. So they lean in and ask a question that might sting a little. How long have you been telling yourself that you're going to take care of this? Because if you're not willing to make someone feel uncomfortable, you're not really helping them. They don't need another cheerleader. They need a change agent.
Why do customers hate when you ask them, how can I help you?
It puts all of the pressure on the buyer to figure out what they need. And realistically, most people don't even know what they need. They just know that they have a problem. When you ask, how can I help you? You sound like every other salesperson to them. Top salespeople ask sharper questions. What brought you here today? Or what's the biggest problem you're trying to solve right now? Those questions get people talking, not guessing.
What's the number one reason salespeople lose sales?
Pitching way too early. Most reps meet a prospect and jump straight into features, benefits, and how amazing their product is. But here's the truth. No one cares about your product until they believe that you understand them. Pitch too early and you're basically saying, I don't care about your situation, but let me talk to you about me. That's exactly when their guard goes up. The best salespeople do the opposite. They ask, they listen, and then they go into the buyer's world. So when they finally do present, it lands like they're reading the buyer's mind. The buyer thinks, wow, this guy can articulate my problems better than I can. He must really understand.
What should you do when they say, I need to compare prices?
You help them compare the right things. Most salespeople panic. They say, we're very competitive, or let me get you a better deal. And just like that, they turn themselves into a commodity. Top salespeople don't chase the price conversation. They reframe it. They say, totally fair, but besides price, what else matters to you when you make this decision? So they guide the buyer. And then they say, because if I were in your shoes, here's what I'd look for. How fast can you get results? What support do you actually need to get post-sale? And what's the track record of solving this exact problem for companies like yours? And then anchor it with the cost of inaction. So if this problem costs you $2,000 a month and the cheaper option delays by 3 months, that's $6,000 gone to save $500. By the way, here's the truth. Price is only a moment decision, but the wrong choice, that pain drags on.
Who should you tell about your goals?
Don't tell your girl. Don't tell your friends. Don't even tell your parents. And for the love of God, don't post them online. Because if you tell your mom, I'm going to build a big business and retire you, she tears up, hugs you, tells you that she's proud of you, and boom, you just got the high that you were chasing. Your brain thinks, mission complete. You feel like a hero before you've even done a thing. Now, why suffer through the work when you already got the reward? That's the trap, and a lot of people fall for it. And if you're in business or sales, this is how you lose momentum. You start celebrating intent instead of tracking outcomes. You get busy telling the story of your plans instead of actually doing them. Top performers don't talk, they just do it.
Why do your follow-ups make you look desperate, and how do you fix it?
Because they feel desperate. Just checking in, any updates, did you get a chance to review? It's all needy energy, and people can smell it from a mile away. What they really hear is, I need this deal, please respond, I'm getting anxious. The moment you need the sale, you've already lost it. Top salespeople don't follow up like that. They follow up with confidence, with value, and with control. They send something useful, a fresh idea, a sharp insight, a quick story that resonates. They're not chasing, they're leading. And here's the switch. When you stop needing the sale, people start wanting to buy.
Why does your sales script make buyers stop listening after 10 seconds?
Scripts make you sound robotic, but what's even worse is they make you think like a robot too. You get so focused on saying the right words that you stop listening to their actual responses. What happens when they say something completely unexpected? You freeze, or even worse, you ignore something important and just keep reading your script. What the top salespeople do instead of scripts is frameworks. Think of it like Google Maps. You know where your destination is and the general route, but it can adjust when you hit traffic or find you a shortcut.
Why do some salespeople close more by not trying to close?
Most salespeople obsess about closing, and that's exactly why they lose deals. They chase deals, stress about commissions, and rush to get to a yes. Top closers do the opposite. Instead of pushing for the close, they focus on understanding the problem. They ask better questions, they listen deeper, and they actually care about solving the issues. Think about it like dating. The person who proposes on the first date usually isn't going to get a second one. But someone who's genuinely interested in getting to know you, that's who you want to see again. Sales works exactly the same way. Stop rushing to get the close and focus on solving real problems. AI is going to take salespeople's jobs, but not today. 2 business owner friends of mine hit me up recently asking me the exact same question. Babar, do you know any top-tier remote salespeople? 2 different industries, 2 very different offers, both hiring right now. So if you're a salesperson or you're trying to get into sales, you're following me to learn sales, then listen up because I've got an opportunity for you. I'll train you myself and then place you directly into one of their offers where you can work from home, taking a couple of Zoom meetings and make real money. So if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in and serious about, then DM me the word closer and we'll see if you would be a good fit for that.
How come the best salespeople never talk about their product?
Because people don't buy products, they buy outcomes. Top salespeople skip the specs completely. They sell results instead. They talk about what life looks like after the purchase. They don't pitch features, they paint the life you want. When someone wants to leave work by 6 for family dinner, they show exactly how that becomes possible because they ask the person what matters most. Features tell you what it does, but stories sell what it gives to you. So don't pitch products, start selling futures.
Why do objections actually mean they're more likely to buy?
Objections scare most salespeople. It's too expensive. I need to think about it. I'm not sure this is right for us. They think it means the deal is dying. But objections are buying signals in disguise. If they truly weren't interested, they just say no and disappear. But when they object, what they're really saying is, I'm interested, but I have some concerns. That's engaging. They're giving you a path to the sale. No objections, that can actually be worse. That's when they're being polite, but completely checked out.
How come the best salespeople couldn't care less about rejection?
Because they know that rejection isn't personal. It's just a part of the job. Average salespeople hear no and spiral into, did I mess up? Am I even good at this? But the top salespeople hear no and think, cool, that one didn't land, on to the next one. They treat rejection like data, like fuel. If you're not getting rejected, by the way, you're not having enough conversations. And every single no brings you closer to a yes.
How do you talk about price when you're selling something?
Here's what most salespeople do wrong when they're talking about the price. They get nervous, they start rambling, they over-explain, and their energy is almost apologetic for their price. Don't do that. Here's what the top 1% do instead. They state their price clearly, the investment is $5,000, and then they do something really powerful. They shut up. Most salespeople panic in the silence. They start justifying the price. They offer discounts that nobody even asked for. And here's the truth about handling the price. The silent moment after you state the price, that's not awkward time. That's decision time. Let them think, let them process, and let them speak first. When you're confident about your price, your customer becomes confident about their investment.
How do you succeed in sales without being salesy?
The best salespeople don't actually feel like salespeople at all. They make you feel comfortable, they listen twice as much as they talk, and they understand your exact problem before they even mention their solution. It's not about pushing a product, it's about guiding a conversation. And here's the thing, when you're authentic and genuinely focused on solving the customer's actual problem, you don't need tactics or pressure. You just need to be helpful. Because when people feel like they're being helped rather than being sold to, they naturally want to work with you anyway.
Why do customers buy more when you tell them not to buy?
Sounds backwards, but reverse psychology in sales actually works. So when you say, this might not be a right fit for you, you do something powerful. You remove all the pressure, and the second that there's no pressure, their brain completely flips. Instead of thinking, why shouldn't I buy this? They start thinking, wait, why wouldn't this be right for me? And then they start selling to themselves. Think about it. Nobody likes being sold to, but everyone loves buying if it's their own decision. So instead of sounding like a pushy salesperson, you sound like a trusted advisor, someone who actually cares whether or not it's a right fit. And that's exactly who people buy from.
What actually happens when a prospect ghosts you?
It usually means they didn't see enough value or urgency to reply. The call might have gone well, they nodded, smiled, said all the right things, but after that, nothing. Not because they're rude, not because they hate you, but because nothing you said stuck enough to make replying feel worth it. Think about it. If the president texted them or their dream client reached out, you think they wouldn't reply? They'd respond in 3 seconds. People always reply when they believe it matters. So if they're ghosting you, here's the truth. You didn't give them enough reason to care. No urgency, no curiosity, no hook. Top salespeople don't beg for replies. They leave prospects thinking about them.
What's the best way to follow up without being annoying?
Well, just checking in emails are like spam. They get instantly deleted. Smart follow-ups are different. They're like sending gifts. You saw an article that might solve their industry's biggest challenge, or here's how another company solved your exact problem. Each touch should add value. Each message shows them that you're still thinking about their needs.
What's the first thing that customers notice about you?
People don't just listen to you. They feel your energy. The best salespeople, they walk in calm, confident, and curious, like they're meeting an old friend for coffee. No desperation, no frantic energy, because customers don't buy from nerves or neediness, they buy from trust.
Why do confident salespeople lose more deals than you might think?
Let's say 2 salespeople walk into a room. The first one walks in with bravado, great body language, a perfect pitch, and smooth delivery. But he's so focused on himself that he doesn't pay much attention to the prospect and ends up not asking the right questions. He just assumes that the sale is in the bag and probably ends up blowing it. But meanwhile, a quieter sales rep might come in and ask a couple of right questions, listen to the prospect, and discover what's actually wrong. And he closes without even trying. You see, the flashy closer is focused on performance, but the quiet one is focused on solving the customer's problem. Ultimately, prospects want to feel understood and valued, not just impressed. Real confidence in sales is communicating to the prospect, I don't need to impress you, but I'd like to understand you.
Why should you bring up objections before your prospect does?
Here's the thing most salespeople get wrong. They wait for the objections to come up and then scramble to handle them. Elite salespeople do the opposite. They bring up objections first before the prospect even thinks of them. When you bring up the objection, you control how it gets handled. When they bring up the objection, they control the conversation. Instead of waiting, say, you're probably thinking this sounds expensive. I bet you're wondering if this is actually going to work. You might be concerned about implementation time. Your prospect thinks, this person really gets it. When you're proactive, you sound confident and prepared. When you're reactive, you sound defensive. The bottom line is, know your top objections and bring them up first.
How do you recover after a bad sales call?
Adopt this mindset. You never really fail. You either win or you learn. Ideally, you win and learn at the same time. There's no such thing as failure unless you stop trying. As long as you're putting in effort and staying in the game, you're moving forward. Every call is a chance to improve, so don't dwell on the bad ones. Learn from them and keep going.
Should a salesperson's goal always be to close more deals?
Sales isn't a goal, it's an outcome. It's the result of doing everything right, from targeting prospects to closing the deal. The sale comes naturally when you focus on the right actions. If you prioritize knowledge and strategy, success will follow. It's like Wilson's Law. Wealth is a byproduct of intelligence and understanding. When you focus on growth and learning, the money continues to come. Don't chase the sale. Focus on improving your process, and the sales will take care of themselves.
How do you deal with a customer who just wants to know about the price?
Price should really come at the end of your story, not the opening line. Smart salespeople know this truth. Numbers without context are just obstacles, but value, that changes everything. Start from their world. What's not working right now? Where are they losing time? And what's costing them business? Then it's not just the price anymore. It's an investment in their transformation.
What's the real secret behind sell me this pen?
When someone says, sell me this pen, the wrong move is to start jamming the product down their throat. Nobody wants that. This pen is so aesthetic. It's so awesome. Don't do that. Instead of pushing the pen or any product, ask yourself, do they even need it? Successful salespeople and businesses don't just sell products, they find and solve problems. If you can identify the problem that the pen solves for the person, whether it's signing an important contract or capturing a great idea, you'll easily make the sale. When you shift your focus from selling to solving, that's when the real success starts to happen.
Why do some salespeople get rejected less often?
The best salespeople understand a simple truth. Rejection isn't personal. It's not really about you, it's about where the customer is in their journey. Maybe they're not ready, or the timing isn't right. People are always on the lookout for options, and great salespeople don't take no as the definitive end. They see it as part of the process. They know that every rejection brings valuable feedback. What didn't resonate? What could I adjust? Every no becomes a stepping stone to a yes, and the ability to detach from rejection, learn from it, and keep moving forward is what separates the average salespeople from the exceptional ones.
Why do the best salespeople get rejected more and still win?
Most salespeople hear no and immediately lose confidence, but the best salespeople, they barely even flinch because they're playing a completely different game. And here's the difference. Average salespeople tie their confidence to the outcome, but the top salespeople don't even care because they're focused on just doing the right steps in the sales process over and over, no matter the result. They actually fail more than most people even tried because they take more shots than everyone else combined. And every no is like a clue. What would I need to change to turn this into a yes? They don't get thrown off by rejection, they use it. And they're not chasing yes, they're chasing mastery of their craft.
Why does just checking in make prospects avoid your calls forever?
Prospects are busy. You should assume that they're drowning in messages. Then you send your message, just checking in, and what they hear is, I have nothing valuable to offer, but I want your time anyway. The best salespeople never just check in. They always bring something of value to the interaction. Hey, I had an idea that could help with the challenge that we discussed. Or one of our clients just solved a similar problem, thought you might want to hear how they did it. Every touch point must pass this test. Would they thank you for sending this to them even if they never buy from you? If the answer is no, don't send it. Your follow-ups should make them think, I'm glad I opened this, not how do I make this stop?
What should you do when a customer says, I'll think about it?
They just lied to your face. Nobody's going home to sit in a thinker position for 2 hours and actively think about your offer. Most salespeople say, sure, no worries, let me know. Wrong. You just gave them permission to disappear forever. So do this instead. Stay calm and ask, I get it. What specifically do you need to think about? I'll think about it isn't an objection. It's a smokescreen. You need to get to the real objection, and 9 times out of 10, it's the money. They just don't see the value yet. So here's the follow-up. If we set money aside, would you go ahead today? If they say yes, bingo. Now you know what you're dealing with. If they say no, there's something else that you haven't uncovered yet.
What do you say when they tell you it's too expensive?
Just agree with them. Sounds crazy, right? But most salespeople panic and start defending. We're actually very competitive. Let me explain. No, you're literally arguing with their feelings. Here's what top salespeople do instead. Completely get it. It's a significant investment. Then they drop this bomb. When you say it's too expensive, help me understand. Do you mean that it's not worth it, or you just don't have the budget right now? Now watch the magic happen. The truth comes out. If it's budget, so you see the value, but cash is tight right now. What would need to happen to make this work for you? If it's value, you say, okay, got it. What would need to change for this to feel worth it?
Why is empathy so important when it comes to sales?
Most salespeople are obsessed with the wrong things, memorizing scripts, mastering closes, learning manipulation tactics. But here's what they don't understand. The greatest salespeople aren't thinking about selling at all. Instead, they're doing something much more powerful. They're stepping into their customers' minds, feeling their frustrations, and understanding their dreams. When you truly get what keeps someone up at night, you don't need to focus on fancy closing techniques. You don't need persuasion tactics. You don't even need to sell, because once someone feels truly understood, they'll convince themselves to buy. That's the power of empathy in sales.
What's one thing that most sales teams get completely wrong?
Every sales leader obsesses over getting better leads, using the best tech, and training their team on scripts. But here's the truth. None of them matter if you're missing this one thing. When I ask most sales teams, what do you sell? They start rambling on features and benefits. And that's when I know that they're in trouble. The most successful sales teams, they have crystal clarity on 3 things. Who they serve, what pain they solve, and why they're different. And here's what's crazy. When a team has clarity, their confidence skyrockets, their message hits different, and their close rate doubles. But if they don't, they're just another voice in the noise.
What does your tone say about you in sales?
Sometimes your tone speaks louder than your words. It broadcasts your confidence level, your belief in your solution, your genuine desire to help. Think about it. A rushed tone screams desperation. A defensive tone signals doubt. A robotic tone kills trust. But the right tone, that transforms everything. If you're discussing price, for example, stay calm and clear. Tell them the price. The investment is $5,000. No apology, no justification, just quiet, calm confidence.
What do you do when the customer says it's too expensive?
Well, you have to find out compared to what. Because price is never about the number. It's about the comparison. It's about the context. It's about the value story that you tell.
How can business owners build high-performing sales teams?
A lot of business owners make this massive mistake with their sales teams. They think that hiring more experienced reps automatically means better results, but that's not always the case. The best sales teams aren't just built on experience, they're built on 3 things. First is you hire for hunger, not history. A passionate rookie will always outsell a jaded veteran. Second, you build a bulletproof system. Your team needs more than just motivation. They need clear, repeatable steps that work every single time, something that they can follow, master, and improve. Then third is that, and by the way, this is the one that everyone misses, you need to track everything that matters, not just the deals they close, but all the activities that lead to those closes, the conversations that create those opportunities, the follow-ups that build the relationships, and the questions that uncover the real needs.
What makes a customer choose one product over another?
Logic makes people think, but emotion makes people buy. Smart salespeople know this secret. Features inform, but feelings convert. That's why two identical products can command totally different prices. One is telling you what it does. The other shows you who you will become. Ask yourself, what's the emotional win behind this purchase of what you sell?
How can behavioral psychology help your sales team close more deals?
Well, what average sales teams do is they push features, they talk price, they chase deals, but the top 1% do something differently. They use psychology. Here's what they understand, that people don't make logical decisions. They make emotional ones and then justify them with logic. So instead of saying, our software saves time, you ask them, what would you do with an extra hour each day? Or instead of saying it costs $500 a month, you ask them, well, what's an hour of your time worth? Here's the psychological secret. People don't buy what you tell them to buy. They buy what they convince themselves that they need. When was the last time that you were convinced to buy something? Never, right? You convinced yourself. So here's the truth about sales psychology. Stop trying to convince and start helping people realize.
What can make somebody say yes if they're feeling unsure?
If somebody's unsure about a decision, here's what makes them say yes. It's not logic. It's not features of your product. It's about feeling safe about the unknown. Think about a big buying decision that you've made in the past. Were you always 100% sure? Of course not. But something made you buy it anyway. And in sales, we're like architects of certainty, building it brick by brick, clearly explaining what happens next. Stories of others who took the same leap. Proof that you're going to be there even if things get rocky. Because here's the truth about decisions. They're made with the heart and justified with the head. And when someone feels understood, supported, and safe, getting to the yes is a natural decision.
Why do some salespeople get rejected less often?
The best salespeople understand a simple truth. Rejection isn't personal. It's not really about you, it's about where the customer is in their journey. Maybe they're not ready, or the timing isn't right. People are always on the lookout for options, and great salespeople don't take no as the definitive end. They see it as part of the process. They know that every rejection brings valuable feedback. What didn't resonate? What could I adjust? Every no becomes a stepping stone to a yes, and the ability to detach from rejection, learn from it, and keep moving forward is what separates the average salespeople from the exceptional ones.
What's the difference between an average and exceptional salesperson?
Average salespeople are like tour guides, but the exceptional ones are like doctors. Average salespeople showcase features, but exceptional ones diagnose problems. The difference isn't just in the way that they pitch, it's in their process. And average salespeople talk immediately, but the exceptional ones listen first. The average salespeople present solutions, but the exceptional ones uncover needs.
What's the number one habit of high-performing sales teams?
You know what separates average sales teams from great ones? It's not natural talent. It's not even experience. It's their commitment to consistently improve. The moment you think that you know everything is the moment that you start falling behind. Look at any high-performing team. They're always reading, always practicing, always sharing what works. But here's the truth. The market is always changing. Your competitors are always improving, and the customers are always evolving. So if you're not always learning, you're not just standing still, you're falling behind. Success in sales isn't a destination, it's a continuous journey of growth.
What should you do when a customer says, "I'll think about it"?
They just lied to your face. Nobody's going home to sit in a thinker position for 2 hours and actively think about your offer. Most salespeople say, "Sure, no worries, let me know." Wrong. You just gave them permission to disappear forever. So do this instead. Stay calm and ask, "I get it. What specifically do you need to think about?" "I'll think about it" isn't an objection. It's a smokescreen. You need to get to the real objection, and 9 times out of 10, it's the money. They just don't see the value yet. So here's the follow-up. If we set money aside, would you go ahead today? If they say yes, bingo. Now you know what you're dealing with. If they say no, there's something else that you haven't uncovered yet.
What are customers really saying when they say, I'm not interested?
They're saying, you haven't given me a reason to be. It's not about your product, it's about your approach. Most sales reps hear, I'm not interested, and they give up immediately. But here's the truth that they're missing. People are interested when they understand how it helps them. Think about it. When was the last time you said, I'm not interested, about something you actually saw value in? Exactly. Never. So not interested is actually code for I don't get it, or I don't see how this helps me, or you sound like every other salesperson. So here's what top salespeople do differently. They don't push back. They get curious. What would make this more relevant for you? Or what are you interested in right now?
How do you get someone's attention fast when you're selling something?
Attention spans are getting shorter than ever. You've got 30 seconds to make them care. Forget about telling them the company history and skip telling them the feature list. Jump straight into their world by asking them an open-ended question about what's most important to them. Boom. Now you've got their attention, because now you're not just selling a product, you're selling them a better future. The key is to speak their language. So for CFOs, talk numbers and ROI. For CEOs, talk strategic advantage. For managers, talk team efficiency.
Why do some salespeople close more by not trying to close?
Most salespeople obsess about closing, and that's exactly why they lose deals. They chase deals, stress about commissions, and rush to get to a yes. Top closers do the opposite. Instead of pushing for the close, they focus on understanding the problem. They ask better questions, they listen deeper, and they actually care about solving the issues. Think about it like dating. The person who proposes on the first date usually isn't going to get a second one. But someone who's genuinely interested in getting to know you, that's who you want to see again. Sales works exactly the same way. Stop rushing to get the close and focus on solving real problems.
Why do 67% of confident salespeople miss quota and they don't even realize why?
Well, I'd ask what makes the successful 33% that hit their quota different. It's not just their talent, it's how they think. And if I was to give it to you in one simple word, it's coachability. The top salespeople don't assume that they know everything and they've got it all figured out. They show up ready to learn every single day. Every day is a learning day. They're watching content like this, revisiting Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, studying psychology and refining their craft. Meanwhile, the ones that just look confident, they're just winging it and thinking that looking good is more important than learning. That's their problem.
Why does just checking in make prospects avoid your calls forever?
Prospects are busy. You should assume that they're drowning in messages. Then you send your message, just checking in, and what they hear is, I have nothing valuable to offer, but I want your time anyway. The best salespeople never just check in. They always bring something of value to the interaction. Hey, I had an idea that could help with the challenge that we discussed. Or one of our clients just solved a similar problem, thought you might want to hear how they did it. Every touch point must pass this test. Would they thank you for sending this to them even if they never buy from you? If the answer is no, don't send it. Your follow-ups should make them think, I'm glad I opened this, not how do I make this stop?
Why do the reps charging more close deals faster?
Most salespeople think lower prices close deals faster. But here's what actually happens. When you go cheap, prospects wonder, what's wrong with this? They hesitate, shop around, and delay the decision. But when you charge more, the conversation flips instantly. The prospect thinks, this must be premium quality. It's worth the investment. Suddenly, they're motivated to move faster because they want the results sooner. Lower prices attract tire kickers and bargain hunters who want to waste your time. Premium prices attract serious buyers who value quality and act quickly. Stop competing on price and start competing on value.
What's a simple trick to double your sales immediately?
Imagine you sell two products, one for 20 euros and one for 50. The 50 euro product has more features, but people mostly buy the 20 euro product. Now introduce a third option, a decoy. The decoy is priced at 40 euros. It has fewer features than the 50 euro product, and now suddenly the 50 euro product seems like a better deal and more people choose it. This happens because our brain compares options to make decisions. The effect is called the decoy effect. Use it to lead your customers towards your preferred choice.
Why is it that sometimes saying less than 10 words can close million-dollar deals?
Because in high-ticket sales, power isn't in the pitch, it's in the silence. Most salespeople think big deals require big presentations, long pitches, or endless convincing. But the truth is, the bigger the deal, the fewer the words. If you over-explain, you talk yourself into circles. And in doing so, you actually talk the buyer out of the sale. Top salespeople drop one sharp line and let it hang. Something like, what would it take to make this feel worth it to you? Or when would you like to get started? That's less than 10 words, but it forces the client to reveal everything.